So how do you learn Greek in seminary? How do you master Greek so that the seminary curriculum allows you to reach your goals, but also to never lose your Greek? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And there are really 4 steps that I can think of that are going to allow you to master Greek in seminary. And the first one is really you need to focus on the end goal. The way a seminary curriculum, a syllabus, is written up, it's really written for the accrediting bodies, for the curriculum owners, and for oversight. It's not really written for you as a student. You didn't join Greek so that you could acquire a decent vocabulary to be able to work with through Greek exegesis. You started this program because you want to read the New Testament in the original language and you want to be able to do the exegesis. So don't assume that the goals that are laid out for you in the syllabus are your goals. In fact, here's what I recommend you do. Make your goal a simple outcome. And you can do it for this semester if you wanted to, or for your beginning Greek program. You could do it something like this. Here'd be what I recommend. At the end of the beginning Greek process, I want to be able to start reading 1 John in Greek. That would be my goal. So the first thing you want then is a clear goal. A goal that reflects the outcomes you want and the reason you signed up to do beginning Greek. Get that underway, put that down nice and clear somewhere you can have it right there in front of you. I started beginning Greek so that I can learn to read 1 John in the original language. Why is that important? Well, here's the reason, essentially. And this goes to the second point. You're going to have to, secondly, create new ways to learn. Here's what the seminary professors are going to give you. Here's what any textbook is going to give you. Here's all the information. Here's what you need to remember. Well, that's all very good, but you've still got the step of actually learning to remember that. That's where the hard part is. That's where you're going to need to do some extra work to try and work out, how am I going to learn all this information? Your goal is going to require you to internalize that so you can instantly recognize whatever it is that you're looking at as being a dative or an aorist active subjunctive or whatever it happens to be. You're going to need to know that instantly by looking at it. So what is going to allow you to internalize the information for the chapter or the section that you're working on this week, this lesson, this chapter, whatever it is, right? So that you can ace that quiz when you get to it without any problems. You're going to have to do the hard work of thinking through that for yourself because everybody learns differently and your professor's not going to be able to lay that out for you. Yeah, they might give you some tips, but it's up to you to figure out the right way to learn. So work out how to create new ways that's going to allow you to internalize that information so that you can retain it and be successful with it. Now, the fact that you have to learn so much information for each chapter introduces us to the third thing you're going to have to think about and be aware of to be successful in this. And that is, there's so much information for every chapter, you have to work out how am I not only going to learn it so I can pass that test, but how am I going to remember this at the end of the semester when I get to that final exam? So you're going to have to do, thirdly, create a way of reviewing this information week after week so that you don't forget it. And this also builds into this as well. If you do forget it, it's going to make the following week's work even more difficult to learn. So you really want to create not only a way to learn this week's work, but then remember it for next week and the week after and next month and at the end of the semester as well. So you want to come up with a way of reviewing this content so you're able to remember it, not just when you come to quiz time, but also at the end of the quarter or the semester or the end of the course as well. Now, if you need a little bit of help on the review side, what I've done is I've created a set of review paradigms, which I've created that work with beginning with New Testament Greek, and I've modified them and updated them for Merkel and Plummer's beginning with New Testament Greek as well. And I'm going to link to those below. You can get those for free just by entering your email address down below and get a free copy of those. And those are helpful for not only learning those paradigms that you're going to have to come up with, but reviewing them on a regular basis as well. So basically, I'm going to give these to you blank, and you can fill them in as often as you need to remember them. And I find this to be a really helpful way of just learning and reviewing those things that you do need to learn on a week-by-week basis. So download those at bma.to/paradigms. In short, you want to internalize this information so that you have instant recognition even weeks after you've finished the work. And the review information, this review part, is going to be the part that's going to allow you to go from I think I have this when you get to the exam or the quiz each week to I know I've got this 2 weeks later and I don't have to go back to it a whole lot. Now, again, that doesn't mean to say you're going to know everything all the time to the greatest extent and everything is just nailed down. It's not like that. Greek is just not that way. However, you should be able to develop a way of just going over this so that you're able to retain it for a significant amount of time. You're gonna have to review this information until it's internalized, where you can just look at a word and you know what that word is without having to go through these internal processes of trying to work out what that looks like. And here's a little tip just on this, because the temptation is going to be that you're going to go back to look up the material in a book somewhere. Rather than going back to the book to find out the information, make it a rule for yourself that when you go back to the book is to check whether you are right or not. So in other words, before you go looking in the book, come up with the answer for yourself. Try and recall the answer to mind, and then when you go to the book, you're actually going to say, am I right? Because what that does is it forces your memory to actually kick in, and so you can start to rely on that memory. And when you come to the book, you're either, yes, I was right, or no, I wasn't, and oh, that's right, I forgot about so-and-so. And so you're internalizing the information first, you're trying to recall it, which is exercising your memory, which is going to help you to remember it as well, which then means when you go to look at the book, you're actually just refining what you already know rather than, you know, using the book as a crutch. Okay, very, very important. And that's a great little tip just to keep you reviewing the information, which is what you need to do. Not only do you need to have a clear goal, not only do you need to learn the information, and not only do you need to review the information consistently, but fourthly, you're going to need to be very disciplined about all of this, because this is a lot to do. You're going to have to work on building these skills on a day-by-day basis. And that really means focusing on those 4 things that I've talked about elsewhere, which I'll link to in this video up here. The 4 steps you're really going to want to do every single day to make sure you internalize this information. If you want to know more about those 4 steps, click the link up here. But in a nutshell, what it is essentially is you're going to have to learn your vocabulary and review your vocabulary every day, review and remind yourself of the paradigms every day, practice paradigm identification every day using one of the passing apps, and fourthly, you want to do some translation. I'll talk about more in the video that I linked to up there. But essentially, doing those 4 things pretty much every day means that you, even if you only do one of those 4 things every day, and I recommend you do all 4 of those things every day, is going to allow you to keep taking those small consistent steps. It doesn't need to take hours every day. Even if you just spend 5 minutes a day doing those 4 things, or 1 or 2 of those 4 things, you're going to find that's going to be beneficial. And my recommendation would be, like I said several times, do all 4 if you can. And even if you spend just half an hour throughout the day, maybe 4 times a day, do one thing, then the other thing, then the other thing, then the other thing. Anything like that, anything you do on a regular basis is going to be beneficial, but you want to be doing these things regularly. You need to be disciplined about this. Again, this goes back to your goal. If it's your goal, then your drive should be, how do I make sure I achieve this goal? And that's going to be part of the challenge for you as you seek to learn the language inside the seminary environment with the curriculum and all those kinds of things as well. If you're going through seminary, or if you've been through beginning Greek in seminary, what tips would you have for somebody to help them to learn beginning Greek in seminary? Leave a comment in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing from you down there. And if you want a little bit of help with some of these paradigms, then download our paradigm sheet below, which is going to help you with both Mounce's paradigms and also with beginning with New Testament Greek. What it allows you to do is grab those 2 paradigms and sort of just review them on a regular basis using the paradigm sheets I give you below. So download those below if you're interested as well. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. I'll see you then.